Uganda, mostly we are known by the mountain gorillas. Those pyramid, those those animals are so incredible. Alex, imagine this: you're standing in a forest that has lived for 2,500 years, older than even the grandfathers. The canopy is so dense, the sky has disappeared. The air is thick. Your boots sunk in the mud of the forest. Then your tracker silently puts behind you, and there comes a mountain. Yes, basically, we do help, and we do combine all. That's why we do combine all the 4 countries: Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. So if you get a client who wants to join all the countries, we already serve them. That's why we are a bespoke luxury travel company. That last time I told you that we serve the client, we don't serve ourselves. So we serve the interest of the client. So if a client comes when he wants Kenya to join Kenya and Rwanda, still we can do for that client. If he comes to join, you want to join Uganda and Tanzania, still we can always do for them perfectly. Because one thing, we have an East African visa. So if a client is coming when he wants to combine, he can get one visa that is can permit him to cross all the countries. My initial responsibility to first be the first guest in every lodge or a hotel I can recommend to my clients. I have always to test, see how their beds are, what is their service, what is their food, and everything. So I cannot recommend a tourist to a hotel I've never been through. When I was starting Venture Safaris, I dedicated a whole year touring Uganda as myself. I did the tour of Uganda, and I had to experience some of these experiences I'm always selling to my clients, and sleep in these hotels I'm always recommending. And since that every now and then hotels are built, if there is a new hotel that is built and I've never seen it, I cannot recommend. However much people say it's good, I have to first take the initiative. I go and visit there. I learned this thing from Kenya when I told you last time that I was in Kenya. I used to have a friend who was in tourism, and he used to do these things. And he told me, if you want to sell something genuine, you have always to know that you test. That he used to give me an experience that if you are a good if you're a good bar attendant, you cannot sell a booze to a client when you don't know how it tastes. Because some clients can come and tell you, which one can I take? Now, if you're recommending something, how can you recommend something you have never tasted? So he used to do that, and he used always to move, and we used to move together. He go and checks the hotels and say, next time if I'm creating an itinerary for my client, I think this is a good this hotel has some good service.
Geofrey, welcome to the Nifty Travel Podcast.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alex, for hosting me. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, equally so. And the first thing I always like to ask my guests is about your earliest memories of travel.
All right, thank you. I'll begin before answering that by introducing myself. I get people face to face with mountain gorillas, and that is the simplest I can describe that I do every day to travelers in Uganda. I'm called Geofrey Mukono, the founder of Venture Safaris Uganda. I founded Venture Safari with a mission to bridge the gap I saw it was lacking in selling Uganda as a country. Back to the question, I grew up in Jinja. Jinja is called the adventurous city of East Africa.
Wow, yeah.
It has the source of River Nile and all activities that are done on water. It has the Lake Victoria, the biggest part of Lake Victoria, one of the biggest lakes in Africa. It's in Jinja. Its borders with Mabila Forest, which used to be also the biggest forest in Uganda. So basically, when I was young, we used to go on the river, that is River Nile, and we used to see the tourists, the whites, doing so many activities. And for us, what we could do as kids was to slide. And we could not slide in the water, but we used to go and get some hilly places. We pour their water and then get some things we can use so that it can help us slide down. So we used to love that so much. And in so doing that, and I grew up when I wanted to have all that in me. But after my university, again, I didn't go into travel at first. I was in logistics for some good time, and I started working in Kenya. So I was in Kenya for some good years. And then when I was in Kenya, I got a friend who was in tour and travel. He was my good friend. And that one reminded me that from my childhood, I was into this field. So he was doing some inbound travels. And most of the weekends when I'm not busy, I used to move with him. We used to organize some of the things with him. So in so doing that, I used to get exposure of how everything is done. And now my love for travel industry rose up. So in 2019, that's when I came back to Uganda. And I came back with a dream of opening a tour and travel company in Uganda. I did all the arrangement, and guess what? 2020, COVID hit us. And my dream was put on a standstill for 2 years when we are fighting COVID. Then remember those days we are not working. So when they opened the country, I was starting afresh. So that's when I started in that was 2021, 2022. That's when I started the real dream of opening up Venture Safaris. Regarding the background of what you asked, that's how I got the love of everything I'm doing right now.
Yes. So you talked about Jinja. So tell us a little bit more about it. And what makes it a special place for you?
I grew up. I didn't know that Jinja is the adventurous city of East Africa. It was of late that when I started involving myself in tourism industry that I realized Jinja has a lot to offer. As I mentioned earlier, Jinja has the source of River Nile, the longest lake in Africa. It originates from Jinja. And it goes from Jinja, passes through Egypt, and pours water in the Mediterranean Sea. That alone makes Jinja a spark in the tourist industry, because very many people want to know where the River Nile, the longest river in Africa, originates from. It's in Jinja. And Jinja has the biggest part of Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria, if it's not one of the biggest lake in Africa, it is either the second. So activities, adventure activities take place in Jinja, like whitewater rafting, cubing on the water cubing, kayaking, bank jumping, to mention but a few, all those activities. And when we talk about water rafting, Jinja is doing all the 5 grades of water rafting. So Jinja has the East African, the Uganda Museum, that is really doing the best of showcasing how East African started getting their independence. All the Indian quarries, everything is stored in the East African Museum, and it is stationed in Jinja. Jinja has activities that are not in the water, like now the quad biking, the horse riding. We have the waterfalls, like the water massage. It is in Jinja, whereby you just go in the water and then that water massages you physically without anyone touching you. And it's found in Busowoko Falls, also in Jinja. We have a lot of falls like Sezibwa Falls. We have so many falls. Like those falls are the one that helps the whitewater rafting to take place in Jinja. We do in Jinja, there is boat cruise, and that boat cruise takes you to the source of the Nile. They show you all the islands around that Jinja. So Jinja has a lot to offer. It's a place you can go and stay even 10 days when every day you're doing a different adventure in the city. You do with Jinja, they do cycling is there. They do coffee plantation visiting. They do community-based rehabilitation. We have, Jinja has everything. I can, as I mentioned, I cannot even finish them right now. But what I can just assure you that Jinja has a lot to offer to everyone, even to locals and outsiders. It has a lot to offer.
Yes. No, you have described it very well. Now, you've probably noticed, having working there, that you are not the only tour company. So you are clearly very passionate about what you do. What would you say that you do that is different to everyone else?
Thanks a lot for that question. I started the tourism industry very well before I began, and having gotten some good information and some experience from Kenya, from my friend who was in Kenya before I started, I actually knew some of the gaps in the industry that I'm trying to fix. Basically, Venture Safaris, we serve our clients. We don't serve ourselves. So we are on the core value of serving our clients. So since we serve our client, we are a bespoke company that we tailor-made every itinerary we sell out. And we create all those itineraries basing on the basics, interests, and preferences of each of the clients. That's why we don't have copy and paste itineraries. We do everything from scratch to completion. And we make sure that our clients come to Uganda as visitors and live as friends. Because we sell experience, we are not selling destinations. So that is making us so exceptional that we are mostly trusted by everyone, because whoever is working with us is always impressed. Like maybe travel agents, they are always impressed, and on behalf of their clients, always recommend even other people for them, and they know that when they go to Uganda, everyone is going to live changed. So every person who comes to Uganda live changed forever, not just impressed, but changed, because Uganda has a lot to offer, but it has been undermined and underrated or undersold. That very many people sell like they are selling it in a rigged way, only mentioning the few places everyone knows and leaving out Uganda as large. So for us, what we are doing, we are giving Uganda, we are selling Uganda as a whole. There are some places where they are they are so visited every day. They are congested. Sometimes they are expensive, but they have the same experience with those places that are not so congested. Like if I mention Ikidepo National Park, it's quite a good national park. I can say it's still virgin. It's still virgin because it's not really over exploited. So it has a lot to offer. Bwindi National Park and Ngahinga National Park, they are the one that have gorillas in Uganda. And gorilla being our icon cell, everyone who comes to Uganda want to see gorillas because it is the exceptional services we are giving in Africa and even in the world, because Uganda are having 50% of the remaining gorillas in the world. Then some gorillas in Rwanda, few, and even others in Congo. And Congo has a disadvantage that it has a lot of wars, so it doesn't attract more tourists. So basically, gorillas are being watched in Uganda, are being tracked in Uganda and Rwanda. But Uganda is the one having the biggest population. So whoever is coming to Uganda basically has the mind of seeing the mountain gorilla. But after seeing the mountain gorilla, what next? Because if someone is coming for 20 days or 30 days, all those days are not going to be spent on gorilla trekking. Gorilla trekking takes only 1 day and strictly 1 hour. Unless when someone is doing gorilla habituation, he can go for 4 hours with the family of the gorillas. Now, what for us we are doing that we make everything enjoyable and experienced, something that can really get stuck to someone. We give someone a story, he or she can always tell a friend, and even a friend tell a friend, like that. That is the experience we are giving. So basically, we are not really selling destination, we are selling experience, because people are tired of destinations. But if someone comes to Uganda, how will that person leave Uganda? That is the core value we are really seeing, that we are taking it more personal and exceptional more than the rest. And we believe that with that, very many people are trusting us, because whoever is coming to visit Uganda through us, if they go back and they share the ideas and the experiences they got from different companies, you find that the one who visited Uganda through us is more having a lot of experience, a lot of excitement, and a lot to offer, yet they all visited the same country. So what we always do is that when someone is trying to book with us, the first thing we tell those clients of ours is that Uganda needs slow travel. You cannot visit Uganda in 3 days and have that and really know that Uganda is existing. So if you're visiting Uganda, you need to give it time and then enjoy it to the fullest.
Yes. Well, I think what you're saying is Uganda has many layers, and if you want to taste it, if you want to smell it, if you want to have that experience, you must stay a bit longer. Now, one thing we had a chat about before we came on today, in fact, our connection began with a question I raised on somebody's post about rare things, and that rare thing was a travel company saying that, you know, that they live all the experiences and all the journeys before the travelers even go on it. And you were saying, well, hang on a minute, we do this all the time. So why why do you think travel companies don't really talk about it enough? And, you know, what difference do you think it makes to what you're offering?
Oh, thank you a lot for that. Now, I am a kind of a person who want to sell an experience to someone that I know exactly how it is. If it comes to lodges or hotels, I take my client to lodges or hotels that are vetted, that I have even ever spent a night in that hotel and experienced their service, tested their food. So if I'm sending a client that side, I know exactly what a client is going to have. If it is an experience, be it a culture experience, wildlife, game drive, boat cruise, I've ever tested it because I want to sell something I know and I'm sure of that I will not get any disappointment at the end. So basically, I don't sell something I've never experienced. In 2022, in 2022, almost the whole year, it was my year of traveling Uganda. I visited all these places, and some of the places I've visited them more than once to make sure if I hear there is a new hotel that has been constructed or opened in a national park, in any national park, I have to make sure if I send a client, I have to first go and test it myself. One day is enough for me to know that this is worth it, my clients. So sometimes when you start selling things you don't know, you get a lot of disappointment from the clients because you're selling something you're not sure of whether your client are going to like it. For me, when a client is booking with me, what I told you that we start on a conversation and we end in transformation. So basically, I have to know exactly what they want and what they are going to get. Then I give them exactly what they expect and even beyond. That's what is making me maybe above the rest because I sell what I've ever experienced. If someone tells me I'm having a family and I need my family to do this and do this in Uganda, I want those, like for instance, of recent, we added on a halal food because we used to get Muslim families and most of the inquiries they used to inquire is about the food and the treatment they are going to get because sometimes they don't want to mix themselves with other people. They want their food to be separate so that they can know it is really tested and it is really proven that it is worth it for them. And every hotel I recommend or I send to my client, I've ever gone there and I've ever seen how the treatment is. That if my clients land in such a hotel, they are not going to get inquiries, they are not going to get disappointment. They're actually going to enjoy their stay in Uganda. So that is me, and that is how I thought it is good always to sell something you've tested and known exactly. Yeah. And on the issue of other companies, I don't know how they do it, but basically that is my way of doing, and we call it venture safari's way of doing. And another thing is that I myself, I coordinate, I handle, I dedicate, and I follow up every safari myself. When you have any inquiry, the first call you make lands on me. And since I know everything, whatever happens, I'm the first person to be notified and I'm the last person to be notified because when it comes to me, I have to make it that it's even fixed even before the client knows it. That is what makes me a reliable and trustworthy pattern on the ground. Because our aim is to serve the client, not our interest. We are happy when the clients are happy.
Mm-hmm.
That is how we are doing it.
And as you say, it all begins with a conversation.
Now, and ends with a transformation.
Yes, yes. You have the tagline. So one thing I was interested in that you just mentioned was that you spent a whole year of 2022 traveling Uganda. So in a sense, it sounds like you were having a conversation with yourself. Did you discover parts of Uganda that you did not know, and parts of Uganda that perhaps surprised you? Because how many of us truly get to travel in our own countries? So how was it for you?
Yeah, basically Uganda is big. Actually, there are some things I used to know in words, that I used to know them in words, but when physically I've never been there. So when I was traveling, I used one. Uganda, we have 52 tribes, and those tribes, that is culture. So every tribe has a different culture, they have a different language, and they have different way of living. So me, I grew up in Central. And being in Central, I used to know some of these places in words. But traveling gave me an experience to meet them in person, to see how they do their things, learn more about how they do their things, learn more about their culture and their language. So when I get a client who wants cultural tour travel, I give exactly what I know that I'm giving. I'm giving this itinerary because I know what that client is going to get when he lands there. There are some places we just learn about, but when you reach on the ground, things are so different, are so exciting. You reach in a certain place and you feel like for instance, when I went to Mountain Elgon, the Mountain Elgon has the biggest caldera, I think, in Africa. They have CP falls. There are three falls. You don't know where the water is coming from, but you just see the water flowing down. It has a coffee plantation whereby you can go and test and get your coffee, put it in the machine, they make it for you and make tea for you there and then. You take a coffee that is not contaminated, that is not mixed, that has that just typical coffee 100%. From the garden to the tea, to the cup. You get? So when you move around, we go to northern Uganda where the Kalamojongs are. We used to read just about them, that they are hostile, they are different people, they don't want to put on, they are not friendly. But when you get there, the experience is different from the books. Those people love cattle like nothing. They take cattle as their brothers or sisters. If they're one of their, like, if any of them get sick, they also get sick. You see? So basically, when you're moving the whole country, you get a lot to understand. They're in a dry place. They don't do farming a lot. They survive on their animals. And then when you cross from northern, you go to southern Uganda, it is different. The environment is green. They eat matoke. They also have animals. They take milk. So you experience that everything is very different from paper. Yeah, the animals of southern Uganda, again, they are very different from the animals of the northern. The one of southern Uganda, they have huge, long horns. And the one of northern Uganda, they have small ones. So that's why I was telling you that in Uganda, you cannot sell it rightly if you don't know exactly everything, or at least 50% of it when you have experienced it. And me, when I took all that time to tour around Uganda, I know exactly. If someone comes and is asking for a certain experience, I know exactly what is that person looking for and what I can give that person, and he leaves Uganda with unforgettable memories and experience.
Yeah, no, very important. I wanted to ask you specifically about safaris, and I read with interest your FAQ section, and I thought it would be very useful to ask you about it, because some of the questions you put on there are questions that not everybody dares to put on there. So I wanted to ask you about safety. So do some tourists worry about safety when they go on a safari?
Basically, when you use venture safaris Uganda, the safety is paramount. Our clients are safe 100%. They're in right hands. Our driver, for us, we don't call them drivers or safari guides. We call them safari officers, because they are in charge of the tourists. That's why we call them officers. We see, when to call them drivers or guides, it lowers them even on the lot of work they do and the experience they have. That's why we call them officers, because they're in charge of everything. Two, if our client gets sick on a safari, we are registered with the aviation insurance. So a client has to be, because when a client gets sick, maybe in a national park, we always advise, and in Kampala, the capital city, that's where we have good hospitals that can take care of every client that has gotten sick in the hospital, in the national park. So we have quick aviation that can go and pick them from the national park and bring them to get the treatment they deserve. That's why when we are onboarding a booking, we always ask these issues, these questions. Do you have any special treatment? Do you have any special case? So that before you come, we know exactly, in case of anything, how to handle the situation if it happens to happen. But the safety is 100%. Our vehicles are designed specifically for what they are doing. Our rider, our officers, the driver, the guides are trained. They're storytellers. They're experienced. This is something they do every day, and it is their living. So they do it we do everything with venture safaris, everything passion. Because we love what we're doing, it's 100% paramount. They are always safe. And we have never gotten any bad experience about the tours. There may be that someone got no. And we thank God for that, but that we have never registered any havoc or anything with our clients. And we strongly believe and put a lot of emphasis on security of safety of our tourists. Because when they come here, we are their custodians. So we always want them to leave Uganda with only one change. That is the experience they get. But the rest, they have to go as they came.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, which nicely leads to transparency. So what does transparency mean to you? And when it comes to communities, one thing that is a growing in conversation is, how do communities benefit from tourism?
First, though, you asked two questions, so I'll start with transparency. When I was in Kenya, a friend of mine introduced me to something. He told me, when you're designing a travel package, always make sure you don't give surprise to your clients. When you're doing an itinerary, make sure you put the inclusive and the exclusive. Make sure you give them the optional side of what they can add on if they think this experience you've designed for them is not enough and they still have time. So basically, all our packages are 100% transparent, that we don't have any other inclusion in the prices we have given to our clients. Unless when they want to add on what is not on the package. That's when an additional is called for, and that is understandable to everyone. We design everything that is 100% fully covered. You just come and enjoy. Enjoy and go. On issue of community best whatever we designed in venture safaris and everything, as Uganda Wildlife Authority and Uganda Tourism Board set the standards. Whatever money paid on a tourist in Uganda, some percentage go to community hub. Now, for instance, in Bwindi, if you buy a permit in Bwindi, you're saving that conservation, because part of the money is going to go back in the conservation. Two, you are helping the community around, people who are getting job in those national parks paid from the money you pay when you go to Bwindi. So every tourist that comes to Uganda does not only come to visit, but is an investor. That when he comes to Uganda, he invests in people of Uganda. Even us as venture safaris, we have a small foundation, and that foundation is called Jail Foundation. In that foundation, we help the community. We help the community. We are helping single mothers. We are helping orphans. We are helping those with disabilities. So the small profit we get a small percentage and give back to the community. Because there are some people whereby if you don't give a hand, really no one is going to give. So if you have access, we always do that.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Now, talking about your guides, you were saying earlier that they are good storytellers. So tell me a little bit about the life of a guide.
Yeah, the life of the guides for us, we call them officers here in venture safaris. Their life is okay. Basically, some of these guides, like the one we hire in venture safaris, they are professional. And when they have with their professionalism, reaching here, we give them our culture of venture safaris. So however much they come when they are experienced, but they can stay for almost 2 months when they're also on training, because they have to get into the culture of venture safaris. We get one trip and then we give them 2 guides. Say, you go with this one. This is a senior, so you go with him, see what he's doing. And next time when we give you a trip, we want exactly to do like that. So that's how we are training our guides, that we really need people who are passionate and people who understand and love what they are doing, not people who are doing something because they have failed out elsewhere and now they come to getting a survival here. No, we need people who love what they are doing. And those people who love what they're doing are the people who are doing it a right way, because they have passion. They want to be the best. Because here in venture safari, we always reward them. The best guide of the year. Sometimes give them a trip because of doing good, and everyone wants that. Sometimes we give them a commission on top of what they are doing, right? Because sometimes you get references like a client can specifically identify a name of a guide and say, please, I appreciate so and so. He was so good. I love the way he did everything. Those compliments very much in our company. So, and they for that, because when someone comes, we always announce that please so gotten when we are doing. Because every month, every beginning of the month, we always have a meeting with the guide, and it is like a meeting and a conversation and even a field study. What they got in the field, they always tell us their challenges, so we always talk to them and see exactly what they are doing, they are enjoying. So you find that in that meeting, we communicate them, say, please, so you got a good complaint from someone, you got some good review, so and so. We read exactly what the client said, and in so doing that, we are encouraging others also to do the best. That next time they are also mentioned. So basically, we are building a family. What we do it as a family, and that's what is really helping us to see that basically we are doing exceptionally good because we are doing what we love best. We love Uganda, and we love whoever comes to see Uganda to also fall in love with it.
I think you also described them as ambassadors.
Definitely. They are ambassadors because they are the one who spends most of the time with the tourists.
So one of the things you mentioned on your FAQ is about visitors feeling different about their journey. And you mentioned a few important words about feeling intimate and getting to feel a bit emotional about their visit. So how does this play out for you?
Oh, all right. That's very good. Now, I am going to give you one story from one visitor. That visitor was from Hungary. He wanted to come in Uganda for 3 days, and he wanted to visit 3 national parks. I told him, do you want just to check your list that you visited these national parks, or you want to feel and have a conversation? You will take a story you can take home and tell the rest. He said, no, I see 3 days are enough. I told him, no, you cannot enjoy Uganda in 3 days and you want to visit 3 national parks. So in a conversation, I told him everything, and then he said, so now, how many days can I take so that I can exhaust those 3 parks? He had 3 parks he chose 7 days. Then we designed for him. He approved it and he paid. So he came. He started with Maction Falls. He enjoyed it very well. Then he went to Queen Elizabeth. He enjoyed it very well. And when he was in Queen Elizabeth, he wanted to see how exactly, because Queen where he slept, there is a small garden where they get green to prepare on the food. So he went there, involved himself in that picking of the greens, and then involved himself in how to prepare, and they were teaching him everything. In that connection, connected him to a chef. That is the story to bring out, that we need some people to always go deeper on a personal level in understanding what Uganda has to offer.
Yeah, and those extra days made all the difference. So brilliant. So now let's talk about the one mammal everybody thinks about first when they think of Uganda.
That's a good question. I think first and foremost, I would say everyone, before coming for gorilla trekking, they have different perception and different feelings. First and foremost, they think these animals are dangerous. So they come while they are scared of that in mind. And when they reach Uganda, they get different perspective. That naturally these animals are very friendly. They don't have any problem with anyone, provided you're humble and you come with them. So they're quite different kind of animals. They I think they they share some DNA with us to an extent of something like maybe 70%. I'm not so sure of the exact figure. So what they do exactly in the bush, they live the same way like us, just because the way they are brought up is different from us as human, but their DNA is close to us. Yes, they live in families, and you find that they host. We call it a silverback is the father of the family. Then they have a mother, and then they have children, and even grandchildren in their family, and they have boundaries. Also, they have boundaries. This family, if the family lives in a particular place, again, you have to look for another family when you cross the boundary of this family. So you find that their way of living is very related to us. And it is very difficult for you to believe that before seeing it physically. If someone tells you that there is a family, there is in gorillas, they have families, and families, they have boundaries. You find that this family is taking care of this family. It is quite something that is not visible, that is not usual, unless when you are on the ground. That's when you can experience that. That's why they always leave people so excited. They don't really understand, because that 1 hour you finish with these animals, when you're doing trekking, you learn more about these gorillas, and what you learn more, everything is new and it is unbelievable, but it's something you can really understand at that particular time when you are together with these families, when you're doing the trekking. So you find that everything is, you're so surprised that if things happen the way they are happening in a natural way, as if they are told to do so, but that is something in them from the childhood. So basically, that is exactly that makes the leader so exceptional, and makes it so highly. It gives a very good experience that you cannot even imagine what you're seeing, how you're seeing it, what you're feeling, and they give you an intense feel that you cannot even explain yourself, but you feel the moment, and when you go back with that feel, whenever you switch about what you felt that particular time when you are next to the gorilla, it's something you can never get from anywhere else.
Yeah, it sounds very unique. Now, obviously, they are endangered, an endangered species, but also a protected species. Um, how how would you describe their situation and their future under protection?
Yeah, Uganda Wildlife Authority is doing some good work to protect these animals from encroachers. Uh, some of these national parks have lived long enough. They have spent there for years and years. And we used to have the problem of encroachers, whereby people, the hunters, they always want to come and kill these animals. Now they are like, now the elephants, people love their horns so much. So we used to have a lot of problems with the encroachers, but the government of Uganda, together with Uganda Wildlife Authority, they have empowered the rangers with the maximum enforcement to see that they really protect these animals. And when you purchase a gorilla permit, part of the money goes to the conservation, and the conservation is part of protecting these animals. They put them in fences. They make sure that they protect these animals from the outside encroachers. And we give credit to the Uganda Wildlife Authority that they are now trying their level best to see that everything is normal, and these animals live in a good life, and even they are trying to increase more animals now. For instance, like the rhinos, we used to have few, but now, because of the good process the government is doing together with the National Wildlife Authority, now we have added on the number of the rhinos. We've added on the number of the lions. So they're doing a lot to protect that. Now it is evil And if you're caught trying to tamper with these animals, it is a case you have to answer in court, and it ends into imprisonment. So, and they are doing a good sensitization to even alert the population, the surrounding community, to really understand the value of these animals, and also be the pioneers and souvenirs of protecting these animals, to see that everyone else can come and enjoy it freely, and when they don't have any problem. And in addition to that, Uganda is the only place where you can enjoy the big 5+2. It is only seen in Uganda. So we have the buffaloes, the leopard, the lion, the rhino, the elephant. In addition to that, we have the chimpanzee and the gorilla. You can only get it in Uganda. So most people don't really understand what Uganda has to offer, because it is really under advertised. Most people don't know about it. So basically, we are trying so hard, but whoever comes to Uganda never leave Uganda the same. They always leave changed and surprised, because we have a lot to offer.
Yeah. Well, it's the stories that help spread the word, isn't it? So every visitor has a part to play in that. Now, one thing I'm hearing more and more about is the importance of sustainable and tourism and regeneration. How do you feel Uganda should feel, play a part in that?
Yeah, our government is emphasizing the regeneration and sustainability of the tourism, because now it is the trend that we need to conserve the environment. So they are really going through, like now, the lodges, the hotels, people are using solar powers. We are they're changing from reforestation, looking for breaking the woods and so ever to build this. So the government is everything goes through sensitization. When the government opted to start sensitizing the environment and the population about what is really best if you conserve everything for the other people to enjoy, and trying not to waste what God gave us for freely, the government is trying so hard to see that they sensitize the population, the public, to understand that we need to protect, not to destroy. And it started slowly, but it is gaining momentum story by story, because changing people from what they know to what they opt to do, it is a process. But basically, everyone is trying. So for us who are in the industry, we are also trying to see that we adopt to this, because it is the new way era to go, and we are doing it rightly, because now we are ambassadors of the government, because for us, we reach the grassroots, and we have to protect we have to act as the examples in doing all these things in the right way, to see that it helps everyone, even our grandchildren, and even those visitors who will come when we are not here. So basically, that is the way we are going it, the way we are doing it. And I know in future, from now, everything will be normal, but right.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to talk about lakes next. I was reading an article you wrote about Gabaka, the lake that the king made. It seemed a very interesting project that he had, but he didn't quite finish it. What can the visitor see of the king's man-made lake today?
Okay, that is very interesting. By the way, I put it on the website as a blog, and it is having a lot of people visiting it. I would start telling you about how it came, the history about that lake. Yeah, that lake, before Uganda was colonized, it was under kingdoms. So Buganda was one of the powerful, and even still now, it's one of the powerful kingdom. So those people, the head of the kingdom of of Uganda is called Kabaka. That is the title. So the king of Uganda is Kabaka in our local language. So now they wanted to put that lake so that it can access Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is the biggest lake in Africa, and it covers here in 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. We all share that lake. So the Kabaka wanted to have access to the Lake Victoria. In case of anything, if anything happens to the Kabaka, they can easily use this lake, the Kabaka's lake, to access the Lake Victoria, and then the Kabaka can either take off either to Kenya or Tanzania. So they came up with an idea of creating that lake. It was just man-made, created. They just created it. It was not there. So they had to dig and create that lake. And after creating it, they had to see a way of making the water to go there. And it was finished. They didn't finish it as they had planned it. But we thank God that recently the kingdom has started taking it like to the next level, so that they can start promoting it, and they want to really make it to accomplish it as the plan was and beyond. So now they have started creating some beaches on it. They are trying to modernize it to see that it attracts and covers the tourist tensions of nowadays. So that's how the lake was came into existence. That the Kabaka's lake. It now has everything. It is big enough. It can accommodate the boats. It has the fish. So it is a man-made lake. And it is now being transformed into a tourist attraction of recent. So that's how the Kabaka's lake came into existence. And it is now visible and accessible to everyone.
Ah, lovely. And another lake you mentioned is Lake Mburo, which you describe as being hidden. So what did you mean by that? Or did you mean it's a quieter location?
Now, Lake Mburo is not a lake on itself. It's a national park. And being a national park, it has some lakes around, but it's not fully a lake. It's a national park.
Okay.
But it's called Lake Mburo National Park. So it's some hidden gems in the Western Uganda, whereby you can go and just have a quiet exploration in Uganda. It has some good environment. You can have a lot of bird species there. You can watch a lot of bird species. You can do nature walk in Lake Mburo. You can do horse riding. You can do a lot of activity, community tourism. So Lake Mburo is a gem whereby it's not so congested, but it gives you the feeling of exploration, that you experience everything, not in a hurry, but everything visible. You can do all the activities on the lake. You can do boat cruise, you can do canoeing, you can do kayaking, you can do zip lining. So it's really a place where you go for relaxation, I can say, when you just want to relax and just use your eyes and maybe relax while you're enjoying. So that is the best Lake Mburo can give you. It has good animals like zebras, those peaceful animals looking good. So some people, when I was still young, I used to think these animals are just painted. That they just paint them, but you can just find these animals and you just get amazed how God really creates some of these animals and everything. So that is the few I can talk about Lake Mburo. It's good for relaxation and exploration.
Well, a couple of things caught my eye. One was the African fish eagle. How often is it possible to see such a graceful bird as that?
The issue of birds, most birds are always available, more so during green season, that the one we call low season. That is the best time if you want to watch, to do bird safaris in Uganda. When it's a green season, those birds are always available because they come to feed on the land, on the land. And the eagle is an amazing bird. It lives in the sky and it feeds on the ground. So when it is in the sky, it is relaxing. But when it comes to feeding, it comes and feed either on the land or in the lake. And when it has come to feed, and you're on a trip, you can see the way it feeds. It's quite incredible that it can be in the sky and spot something and just comes straight. In just a minute, it picks it and it's up.
Yeah.
It never misses. It never misses when it has come to pick either fish or something, anything it has come to pick from the sky. It can't miss. So it's an amazing bird. And if you happen to be on a trip and you see it feeding, and you really like it, because you can be impressed of how it does it. You know, something to target something from sky and come and picks it direct from the water and pick something it has come to pick. It's quite incredible.
Yeah,
it's quite incredible, and you can always wonder how really God created some of these features.
Another bird I saw mentioned was parrots. Now, I once went on a parrot trek on the island of St. Lucia. On that island, they are a very strong color of green, but they're also very shy. They make lots of noise, but they don't come out to play. What are Ugandan parrots like?
Anyway, with bird species, you find that what you find maybe in the other side, it is the same bird that can be on this side, and behaviors are always the same. The feeding are always the same. The only difference is that the environment, they live in different environments. But what the credibility of every species is almost like the same. What it does, the other side, it's the same thing you can see this side. What I can tell you that if you happen to come on a bird safari, and the best places we do bird safaris basically is in Bwindi, Queen Elizabeth, Maction Falls, and in Uganda we have Showbill. Showbill also, they're good birds, very exciting, but they have a sanctuary called Mabamba Sanctuary where they can be located so much. So you find that these birds, they need some time. When you don't go for a bird safari if you want to do quick they need slow travel. You can take your time and study these birds, and you can enjoy. When you come in, it's a green season, you can really find that they come in groups to feed, more so in the morning and in the evening. The evening, they're always on the shores of the lakes, so you can really have some good time. I went on a bird safari with some tourists from South Africa, and then he wanted to take some photograph when they're flying. So he told us were two people, me and the guide. I was like, now I want to stand here. I want you people to go and scare them. Then I want to take that shot. And when we scared them and they took off immediately, he took a shot and he was very happy. I just something like that can make someone very happy and so excited. He took a lot of, he had some good camera and he took a lot of some good pics and was very happy. He said, yeah, this is the capture of the year. So, or like it was in the evening when they have come on the shores of the lakes. And basically you find that, that's why I was saying that when you coming in Uganda and you want to enjoy Uganda, you don't plan in a rush. You have to take your time and enjoy it. You'll enjoy it, and every day gives you a different experience. Every place gives you a different experience. That is the advantage of Uganda. The advantage of Uganda is that where the rainfall meets the savanna. So when you are in the eastern central, you are in savanna. When you cross on the western, you are in the rainforest. So every place has a different experience, and every experience gives you a different memory. So imagine you combining all those memories with one person. You live extremely excited and experienced and transformed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, people do like variety, that's for sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to variety, do you find that traditionally there's a little tension between sort of modern farming versus maintaining of forests? How does that play out? Because sometimes, well, I mean, the animals don't respond to our boundaries; they have their own boundaries. So how does it, because I occasionally hear stories about, well, I read a story about how elephants, they left their reserve, and the only way to put them, to place them in the areas of safety was to lift them and fly them back to their original areas. Do you find that there's much, is there a tension between sort of human needs and animal needs, or is it an organized experience as well as one can?
Yeah, basically, before we used to have that problem whereby animals can move out of the national park. They go and destroy plants, plantations of the people around. But as I told you earlier, the government is trying its level best to see that the protected areas like the national parks are protected, and these animals can't easily move out of their park. That's why they have the park rangers. That these park rangers always have to monitor. They always survey. They do routine checkup on every boundaries of the national park to see that those animals don't cross over to destroy the plants, the plantations around. And there is a way they are doing the protection of these animals not to come out from the park itself. They do some modern protection that when they cross, like for instance, if an animal crosses a certain limitation area, there are some alarms that can notify the rangers that there is an animal that is crossing. So they have to make sure they run and they protect from entering the plantations. But on rare occasions, sometimes animals move out and they destroy the plantations of the nearby community. But it's on rare cases. The government is trying to modify and always enforce so much that the protection is to updated systems, and even the people they are adding. That's why I told you that when you make a pay, when you come to Uganda as a tourist, you come as a tourist, but you live as an investor, because the money you live in Uganda goes back to conservation, protection, and even helping the people around. So basically, there are percentages on that to see that everything has to live in a normal way to benefit both the community and even the people around these national parks. So basically nowadays it is no longer happening due to the fact that they've now commercializing these things and trying to see that the government is making it to rationalize the national parks with people to live around harmoniously. So right now we appreciate that it is no longer happening, but on a rare occasions, we cannot be 100% perfect in some of the other things. You find that sometimes on a rare occasion they can cross over and destroy what they destroy, but still there are numbers, hotlines that if you see an animal when you're near the national park, you have the contacts to call and immediately the rangers can come and rescue the situation very quickly.
Oh, it sounds like it's more of a partnership these days. One thing a traveler should get used to doing is always checking what vaccinations they need before they go to a country they've never been to. I regularly do it because my doctor knows the answers to all these questions, but I don't. Now, one thing, because I live in a cooler country, one thing I'm always aware of going to a warmer country is I'm always a little worried about the little insects that fly around. Now, I always take things to help. Is there a time of year that they are more active or times that are less active, or is it about the time of day that you're about?
All right, thank you for that. Now, when we talk about vaccination, to enter Uganda, you just basically you need a yellow fever. If you don't have a yellow fever, you cannot enter Uganda. And then a passport. Those are the documents you need to enter Uganda. A visa, you can always get it at the arrival. It is not mandatory that have to travel with your visa to come to Uganda. You can always get a visa at the arrival. But with a yellow fever, it is a must, you have to have it. And you cannot get a yellow fever at the arrival. You have to come with it. Uganda, we have malaria. And I was told in your country, you've never even had that malaria or even mosquito, you have never seen it. So basically, when you're coming to Uganda, it is always advisable to take the vaccination of the malaria, anti-malaria, or when you come to Uganda, you can always take it. Then there are some preventions you can take when you're on the ground so that they cannot harm you. Basically, during green season, there are very many, but when during dry season, there are few, because for them, they are mostly many during dry, wet season when water is there. They live in stagnant waters, they live in forest, in those green. So the insects are very many during green season. But the best thing I can assure everyone is that when you're doing maybe a game drive, maybe you're doing trekking, you can there are some preventions you can take, and these insects cannot harm yourself. And even the hotels, they are insect repellents, so you can be safe. That's why last time I told you that when you come to Uganda, you're always safe. You only live with an experience you gotten, but you live as you came. So some of those insects during wet or dry seasons, the green season, but not get a problem. That is the assurance I can give you, and I can talk about that. So don't get scared coming that maybe you're going to get this and here. They're there because we know they're there. That's why they have the prevention.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Now, you mentioned that we live in a society where we're so used to using plastic cards, we've almost forgotten how to use actual money. Whereas Uganda is a mixture, isn't it? So you have the Ugandan shilling and credit cards, but not everywhere is the same. So you were advising that you advise visitors to have a mix of both, don't you?
Uganda, we use shillings alongside dollars. So I advise, if you come with a card, most of the national parks, so you can access most of the national parks and the towns, the cities, they have the ATMs and the banks. So you can always access your money anytime. But being on the safe side, when you enter Uganda, it is always advisable you get some money, change it to local currencies, or even have your dollars. Because if you have a dollar, like you have a $1, $10, you can find it that maybe you want to tip someone and you have a lot of notes, you cannot tip. But if you change it to local currency, it is very easy for you. If you appreciate a service, you can tip, because tipping is allowed in Uganda. We don't refuse it. When you're happy that you want to buy something, yes, you can use local currency, because there are some places where you cannot buy using dollar. Like now you're buying maybe, let me say banana, you're buying a mango from the vendor, or you are buying some maybe maize. You cannot use a dollar to buy from a farmer. So I always advise my clients to always change to Uganda shillings, because the guides always can act as a mediator in your trip. If you want to buy something, they can negotiate in local language if the person you're buying can't understand English, and they tell you even the amount that you're supposed to pay using Uganda shillings, and you enjoy what you want to buy. So I always advise that maybe you get something like $100, change it to Uganda shillings and move along with it. Because there are some things you feel like you want to buy, but when you cannot buy it in dollars, however much, when you go to executive places, dollar can work perfectly without any compromise. So that's the only advice I always give them, that sometimes, because when you're doing these trips, you find that from this national park to another national park, it's quite a long distance. And on the way, you can find something interesting you want to buy. But you cannot give them dollars unless when you're just going to give them a dollar and then they cheat you. Because if something you're buying is $1 or $2 and you have $100 or $50 note, you have $10 note, you find that there is no way you can really rhyme to understand everyone. You want something, but you don't have the exact amount. So you end up giving up a lot of money that you would not do that if you had local currencies. So I always advise them to at least change local currencies and also learn the Uganda shillings, how it's handled, and even know that if I'm buying maybe a soda, it costs this in dollars and costs this in Uganda shillings. Also is an experience and some knowledge you can understand. So when you go back in UK or USA, you can also tell your friends that this amount is equivalent to this amount in Uganda shillings. That is also knowledge you can understand and get to know around here. So that's how I basically advise always my client to do.
That sounds exciting, actually, especially when you said you would help us negotiate prices. So do we get training in what we call haggling? Do we have to barter?
basically you have to.
Well, it sounds fun anyway to pick a number that everyone is happy with.
Yeah, very true.
Now, I've seen you talk about arts and crafts being important. Is it possible to, we're talking about buying gifts to take home, but it often has more meaning if you can see things being created, are there opportunities to sort of have conversations with people who are artistic and are making things? Because I often think it's much more interesting if someone can explain what it is they're making, why they do it, that sort of thing.
Basically, that is the core value of these arts. Like when someone has an itinerary whereby we can, but basically all my visitors, all my tourists at market, at the local craft market, it is a must. They have to go there because one, you have to buy a souvenir. Two, you have to understand every story behind every art. Three, you have to understand how they do these things, where do they get the materials, and how the process, how long does it take. There are some things that are very easy to manufacture and they get ready. They can even teach you there and then. You do your thing. That maybe it's a basket, for instance. They teach you how to do a basket. You do a basket yourself and then you fly with that basket back home. When you know this is something I did myself. Sometimes it can be like a cup. Then they take you through the steps of how they get the mud, they mix it, they dry it, they make it, they mold it, and at the end it comes as a cup. You get? So some of these things, they have a story behind it, and you can only understand the story behind everything when you go exactly at the origin where they are making it from. So mostly my clients always have to go through these crafty markets. When they are doing cultural travels, they have always to go like to the Batwa. They teach them how to make how they used to make firewood, and then you also do it yourself. They teach you how they used to cut using stones, like they didn't have before. They didn't have salt. What they used to use in their food to act as salt. So they tell you all these stories, and you get to understand things you use to call myth or proverbs. You find yourself knowing exactly how these things are being made, how our ancestors, our grandfathers used to live their life without electricity, without vehicles, how they used to live. So you get these stories from the origin people who are telling you exactly and even showing you how things are being done. So basically, I always do my itineraries, and they have to go through that because I need always my client to leave Uganda with some of those things. And basically, me as Venture Safaris, always when a client comes to visit us, like in Venture Safaris, we always give them a free T-shirt or a free cape or a free tea holder or a free cup with a free water bottle with their pictures on them. We can put your picture and then put you in the map of Uganda. You go back with that bottle. That is our courtesy. You don't pay for it. So we want to see that when you go back, you have something you can tell your people that I got this from Uganda. When I was in Uganda, this is what I got. So that one for us, we do it to give them a good souvenir or a gift to show that you visited Uganda through Venture Safaris. So, and it is also helping us that sometimes someone is moving with a cape or a T-shirt or a bottle, having Venture Safaris Uganda with your photo and even a map of Uganda. Then someone can ask, where did you get that bottle? What happened? So you can really give them the information, and maybe someone from that information, someone can start looking for Venture Safaris, and the next day is our next client. So we are trying our level best to see that we put Uganda on front, and we get people to understand really that Uganda is a place that offers exclusivity experience you can never get from anywhere else.
Absolutely. And well, one thing about Uganda is that it's bigger than it looks on a map, because we live on a relatively small island here in Britain. So when you take your guests around, I suppose there are some days where there are early starts because there's, you know, distance is distance, and you can't cheat because the country is the size that it is.
Yeah, Uganda looks small on the map, but that's why I was telling you earlier that when you are outside there, you have a different expectation, and when you're on the ground, you have a different perception. Uganda, it looks small, but it has a lot to offer, and you can only identify that when you're on ground. But in words, you can think maybe we are just selling. That's why when I'm doing the exposure or trying to talk about Uganda, I don't always look salesy. I just want always to give out the best of what people can really understand about the country Uganda we are talking about. You find that very many people they concentrate on gorillas. Uganda is not all about gorilla. Gorilla is the core value of what we are seeing here in Uganda, but Uganda has a lot to offer. And last time I was telling you that when you come into Uganda for 30 days, you cannot just come and do all the Saturdays when you're just on gorilla trekking. But there are very many places, there are very many activities, there are very many attractions, there are very many Uganda has to offer for you that you finish the 30 days when every day you're doing a different experience, maybe one or two for 30 days. You live extraordinary experience, and you live with when you're typically changed. So when you talk about Uganda, you can think it is just a small thing. That's why some people, when they're asking for Uganda, they say, I need 3 days, I need 2 days, you see, because they think it is very easy for it to finish in 1 of days. And I always tell them the fact, please, you're not going to enjoy. If you want to enjoy, stay longer, then enjoy Uganda. And when they come, I had a client from Croatia. He wanted the week. I have a package for weekend, Jinja. It runs every weekend. It starts from Friday to Sunday. So he came for that package. He enjoyed Jinja for his 3 days. Then he went back. So when he went back with the photos, pictures, and he showed the friends, and then planned to come back. Then he said, no, but this time I don't want 3 days. Can you make us at least something like 5 days or 6 days? But I want specifically Jinja. I don't want to move out of Jinja. I just want specifically Jinja. But I want to stay longer than I stayed last time. I told him it is very okay. So I designed for them it was 6 days. They came 4 people. They enjoyed Jinja, and they are telling me they are coming back in November. And November they want to take 10 days in the very place. So that is Uganda for you. They are coming for 10 days in the very place. One came for 3 days. He brought friends and they did 6 days. Now they want to come for 10 in the very place. That is Uganda for you.
Yeah, it grows on you. That's what you're saying. Now, there is this agreement that is East Africa, isn't there? So some people, they like to come to the whole region, don't they? Of which some of the time they might like to spend in Uganda, but they might also want to spend some time in Tanzania or Kenya. Do you help with those sorts of clients?
Yes, basically, we do help, and we do combine all. That's why we do combine all the 4 countries: Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. So if you get a client who wants to join all the countries, we already serve them. That's why we are a bespoke luxury travel company. That last time I told you that we serve the client, we don't serve ourselves. So we serve the interest of the client. So if a client comes when he wants Kenya to join Kenya and Rwanda, still we can do for that client. If he comes to you want to join Uganda and Tanzania, still we can always do for them perfectly, because one thing, we have an East African visa. So if a client is coming when he wants to combine, he can get one visa that is can permit him to cross all the countries. One visa is enough to cross all those countries. Two, we are the same people. Like me, I started in the tourism company, the tourism industry in Kenya. So I have people in Kenya who can handle my clients perfectly as me, or else we can always serve them as Uganda. They do Uganda, then from Uganda, that very guide takes them through to Kenya and can even drive them through to Tanzania if they want to do it by road. If they want to do it by plane, when they are done with Uganda, they board the plane, go to Kenya, reach Kenya, they are picked by our partners in Kenya, then they are taken to the trip in Kenya. When they are done in Kenya, they go to a plane, go to Tanzania, still they are picked from our agents there in Tanzania, they are taken all over Tanzania, and they can fly back. That's how we always do it. And we are doing it perfectly well.
Good. Well, it's good to have partners in the region. So I wanted to sort of bring our conversation together by really asking you your feelings about the future of travel in your region. How do you see things developing, and what would you like to see happening?
Yeah, thanks a lot for that question. It's really a good question. Before, tourism industry was underestimated in our region, and basically mostly in Uganda. You find that in East Africa, Uganda, we have a lot to offer compared to other East African countries, but Uganda has been underrated. Uganda has been unveiled. That most people know Kenya more than they know Uganda. Most people know Tanzania more than they know Uganda. But I appreciate and I thank our government that they have woken up. Now they have started selling Uganda equivalent to the East African companies as they used to do. So I have a lot of hope that since the government has started trying to unveil Uganda to the world, Uganda tourism industry is now growing. It's now the fastest growing industry in the region right now, because very many people used not to know it, but now a lot of people are knowing Uganda is there. So I see a lot of potential in the tourism industry of Uganda and East Africa at large. In the future, I'm seeing it that it's going to dominate all the industries around it, because one thing is that we have a lot to offer, and what we are offering is not expiring. It's there. So we have a lot to offer, and it is there to live years and years. So that means that, and the good thing is that now in East Africa, you find that our market is US, Europe, Asia. And the good thing is that most tourists in Europe, maybe UK, they have done all the places that side. Now East Africa is on their list because they have done the rest in UK, France, Australia, Italy. So what is left for them to see there? Nothing. So they have to come to Uganda and see the experience that does not exist in their countries. That's why I'm seeing potentiality in the tourism industry in the future to come, that we are going to start receiving a lot of visitors from different countries, because we are offering what they don't have and what they have never seen on the ground.
Yeah. And is there anything in particular you would like to see happening?
Yeah, I love so much to see that Uganda is forefronted in Africa, and I love to see that everyone who is talking about Africa, since Uganda is the pearl of Africa, I want it to be on the mind of everyone who knows Africa that exists, should be knowing that Uganda also exists. Because most people, when they talk of Africa, they know South Africa and Kenya. When they talk, I meet people about them and they say, Africa, I know South Africa, I know Kenya. Uganda, where is Uganda? So you start explaining yourself and when you want them to understand very well where Uganda is, you have to tell them that we are neighbor of Kenya. From Kenya, you cross to Uganda, then they get to understand. So I really want to see that when anyone talks about Africa, Uganda comes to their mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's keep having conversations and more people will come. Well, Geofrey, it's been an absolute pleasure having a conversation with you. I really appreciate your giving your time freely to share the wonders of your country and all the different things that people can potentially do. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alex, for hosting me and for giving me this platform to air out the best I can try. I know I've talked a lot, but whatever I've talked is just a small thing that Uganda has to offer. If we start talking to Uganda, we can talk today, tomorrow, and even the other day. We cannot finish Uganda, but we have tried to talk about what we can. And whoever is interested, whoever is willing to learn more about Uganda, just feel free to contact us. We are available and we are ready to serve all our visitors. We live with our motto, as you come, everything for Uganda starts as a conversation and ends in a transformation. That is what we are fronting, and we want everyone to get transformed. You cannot tell me that you're transformed, you haven't visited Uganda. Thank you very much.
No, you're most welcome.